To serve great food is to create memories for your customers.
But it takes more than luck.
It takes consistency, creativity, and the drive to see things through.
And every day, the stakes are high, which means it's time to stand up
from your computer and start getting real. To own your kitchen is to own your bottom line.
This is the real world. And now...
This is the real world. And now...
This is the real world.
And now is the time to foodify your business.
All right, we are back in the kitchen. Welcome everyone back to your F Your Business podcast. Chef Chris, what do we have cooking today?
Hey, here we go. We're going brownies today. We're going with a fresh made brownie against a frozen brownie from the restaurant store.
All right, coming off of July 4th week and doing some hot dogs last time. Figured it'd be a good time to add a dessert. Easy one for your backyard barbecue, but also really easy for any sort of restaurant, from full service, fast casual, quick serve, food truck, to add to your menu, right? Anybody could do this.
Absolutely. You hear me mixing up the brownie mix now, getting it ready.
It smells good. It smells delicious.
So here's a twist we have, right? So we're in an office. We don't have an oven. So we're going to cook these on the griddle, on the flat top. I think it's a unique way. It makes it fun. It's something for your guests to think about. You know, if you were to serve this, saying, hey, I don't know, you call it like a flat top brownie, grilled brownie, whatever you want to call it. But it's a good product. It's easy to make. It's not time consuming at all. And also, one of the biggest challenges we do see with our clients is they're overpaying for desserts because they're buying them pre-made, and it just costs more that way than to do this on your own.
Yeah, I think that's when we know it's gonna be a tough one. We know it's gonna be a tough challenge going in. You know, the brownies that we got that were frozen, that defrosted are good brownies. They look good. They look like a nice brownie. You know, we bought them by the tray. We do see a lot of our restaurant operators buying individual brownies from Cisco or from Whole Foods. And like Chris said, they're really expensive. You know, those pre-packaged brownies can be almost $3 each per brownie.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And this is a tough challenge. We know that. The brownies are good that come from there. They're not a bad brownie. And again, we're making a brownie on a flat top, not in the oven. We're not baking it. We're not going traditional. We're going to try to come up with a new concept, something that anybody could do anywhere. You could do this on a food truck. You could do this in your backyard. You could do it any place you want that doesn't have an oven. This is still a way that you can make a brownie.
Yeah, and as we've been talking on the food, about the food over the last few weeks is making it fun, making it yours. And I think this recipe, this way of making brownies, you can make it any shape you want. You can do what you want with it. We're going to add a lot of fun toppings, but depending on what you already have at your restaurant, whether it's whipped cream or a Cool Whip or ice cream or different flavors, from sprinkles to syrups or to, other ingredients that you can make it fun, this brownie is going to allow you to do that. And I think that's sometimes what people forget about when they're looking at it. They're just going to try to compare it to the brownie versus brownie, but it's all the other ingredients, all the other fun stuff that we can do now with these brownies.
Yeah, exactly. What the options are with a brownie is endless. What you could do with a brownie is endless. Here you go, Scott. I'm putting them on the griddle now.
All right.
Unfortunately, we don't get the sizzle like we do with the meat, but what we're doing, we're just using a mold. We're going to pour them into a mold, and we're going to let them fry there for a while. And then we're going to remove the mold and flip them. And listen, we haven't done this before. It's the first time. So we're going to see how this comes out. I think it's going to work. I'm putting my name on the line that it works.
So these molds look kind of familiar, Chris. I feel like I've seen these somewhere before.
Well, here's what happened, right? We bought egg molds to do the egg challenge sandwiches. So yeah, I like to reuse things, right? You bought it. What else use does it has? So this has, now it's a brownie mold. Next week, it might be something else, but this week it's a brownie mold.
Good. So the person that replaced that terrible frozen egg meat sandwich and went to the fresh egg mold, they now already are ready for the Chris famous brownie dessert, right? You can go right into it.
They're ready. They're ready to step up and prove you can make a brownie on a flat top.
And not a lot of time. I'm looking over here. I mean,
well, we're going to time it out. I started from when I started mixing the mix to when they're done.
Okay. All right. So we'll let it sit for a few minutes because they're going to take a little bit of time to cook through, but they're already smelling delicious. The whole office is kind of starting to peek over a little bit, what we have going on back here in the corner kitchen.
That's right, because they never know what we're doing week to week. We surprise them. I think they got a pretty good idea right now.
All right, perfect.
All right, they look like they're cooking up nice. Not ready to flip yet, but they're cooking up nice.
All right, they're getting there. They're getting there. So what's in this mix, Chris? What are we talking about? Obviously at home they can't see. So what kind of mix do we use?
We just use a regular fudge brownie mix. We went to the store and we bought the red box and we mixed it up. Now you could go from scratch, but don't really think it's necessary at this point.
Right. Depending if you're not a bakery
Right.
and you're doing a lot of other things, that's
Right.
probably not higher in your priority list.
Not right. You're not a bakery. I don't think you want to get into baking them from scratch. You use the mix in the red box, or even the blue box is nice. Either one to make a great brownie.
I think we saw a lot of different varieties. We saw gluten-free, we saw chocolate chip, we saw confetti. So, we're going chocolate, but you could easily add 3 or 4 flavors of brownies
Just from one brownie.
from one brownie.
Right,
Have,
yeah.
one mix,
I
a
mean,
couple boxes now.
You go walnut, you go whatever you want. You just add them, add any ingredient you want to it. Make something again. I always say, try to think of what's in your neighborhood. What do you go with? What's local to you? And try to make that work with the brownie.
Yeah, and I think it's going to. I said that they're looking pretty good. Again, we're talking a little
nice.
grill.
They're cooking up nice. I think in another minute or two, we're going to be flipping it. Maybe a little less, maybe probably 30 seconds to a minute. We're going to flip them. And that's the big test here. If we can flip it and it doesn't fall apart, we got a brownie. If it falls apart, we're going to go with a brownie crumble.
Right. Well, so we'll see.
One way or another, we're going to have a brownie.
So we're having dessert. Either way, we're having dessert in the office. It just depends on what that dessert's going to be.
It all depends on the flip, which is coming up any second now, which I think we're just about there. So I'm going to give it like another 10 seconds and we're going to see how it goes.
Well, but you said you could, but maybe you already have an ice cream dessert on your menu that you could actually add brownie crumbles to that also.
Oh,
So
right.
now you have multi-use things that you're not stuck to just, hey,
Your traditional brownie.
traditional brownie. You can do a lot of things with this.
Everybody loves a brownie crumble, that's for sure. All right, here we go. We're going to go for the flip. I'm removing the mold. If everything doesn't run out, we're good.
All right, here we go.
Look at that. Wow.
That was a perfect flip.
There you go.
He must have done some pancakes back in the day, Chris, because that was a pretty nice flip right there.
It's no different. Brownie, pancake, French toast, all the same. Just flip it. Yeah, so I think we're going to have good brownies here. Will they beat the restaurant supply store? That remains to be seen. That's a good brownie. I already tasted it. I like it. We'll see what happens with this, what everyone thinks.
Nice. Well, it goes back a long time, the brownie. So some suggest that it was created by a chef making a mistake and just adding chocolate to a cake mix.
Okay, that sounds logical, right?
But really, 1893 at the Palmer House Hotel in Chicago is where really we saw our first brownies. They're still using the same recipe today as from 1893 and sell 4 tons of brownies a year.
Who sells 4 tons of brownies a year?
At the hotel.
The hotel
Palmer
sells 4
House
tons.
Hotel still sells 4 tons of brownies a year.
We're gonna make a road trip.
Yeah, it was probably a pretty good brownie. Bertha Palmer was at the time, 1893, head of the board of lady managers for the Columbian Expo, and basically directed her pastry chefs to come up with a dessert that's easy to transport in a box lunch.
Okay.
So, that's kind of where we see it. And now as we talk about a lot of our restaurants doing a lot of to-go food now,
Right.
and, maybe some things don't travel as well as others to go, aka an ice cream or something that might melt, this is a perfect add-on that you sell to your customers, to your guests to go.
Absolutely. I would say they accomplished their mission. This is a great travel item.
Easy to transport.
Right.
And we already know we'll get some cost breakdown later, but it's going to be really favorable on a food cost standpoint. Great to add to a kid's menu, to a kid's meal add-on. And that's what, we're looking for as we're doing those add-ons to the menu, that they're really favorable for the restaurant and food costs.
Right. They go for, the dessert for the adults, definitely dessert for the kids. Again, this is just starting with the brownie. Brownie's your canvas. Make it what you want. Build on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about it, you could add a build your own brownie sundae to the kids menu. You know,
Right.
that's again, we talked about who chooses where to go out to eat. You know, I think sometimes people forget that the kids are choosing sometimes, and it doesn't take a lot to shift the needle to your restaurant. Why they picked your restaurant to go to might just be because they remember this brownie they had.
It could be that simple. And usually it is. And the kids aren't usually picking the spot. If the kids are coming, they're picking.
Right, exactly. Correct. So I think as it, you know, all these different reasons to looking to add something that's super simple, easy to make, and the myth that you have to bring it in pre-packaged. And that's what we're trying to break here. That myth that pre-packaged is better, frozen's easier, when really it probably isn't.
Right. It's not always, listen, we haven't run up to anything yet that we found was easier, more cost effective that's been frozen. You know, at some point, maybe we will. And if we do, we'll be the first to admit, hey, it's a great product. I would use it. We haven't got there yet, but at some point, maybe we will. But, you know, we just want to keep bringing this to you. We just want to keep, letting people know that, don't be afraid of fresh ingredients. They're not more expensive. They're better. They taste better. They look better. And that's what the point we're trying to get across.
Yeah, 100% agree.
All right. So we're sitting here. We did our taste test for the brownie challenge, and I think had some interesting results. So Chris, tell us how it went down.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we took our first L. Fresh went down. It was close. I think it was 6-4.
6-4.
6-4. But not that the fresh wasn't light. Some people just like a more rich brownie, and that's what the frozen one was. And like I said, it was a good brownie. I still go for the fresh. That's more what I like. But they like them both, and I just, I took the L. I can take it like a man.
Well, first of all, I would say, the consensus of the group was definitely that there wasn't a loser, right? Like both were really good. I think, like you said, it was two different tastes. The store-bought one was very rich, very cake-like, visually looked different. The, fresh made one was, a little thinner, not as rich, but, I think the consensus was both were very good. So
yeah, true. Everyone, did say they liked them both, and some people did go back and forth on which one they were going to pick. It wasn't just straight out. I like this one. They had fought with themselves over it. So that does help the cause a little bit.
You can't see him. He's still wiping some tears off his eyes. So, Chris, we need another minute. That's fine.
I can compose myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
To finish up okay.
He's comparing himself to Muhammad Ali.
It's a couple losses. It's all right. We bounce back.
A lot of pep talks given in the last 15 minutes, but
we bounce back. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But I agree. People were definitely even like fighting themselves to figure out which one they liked. I agree. It's probably the first one that was really, not even evenly split throughout the group, but each person really had to think about, did like both of them. What did I like better about one? And kind of like what Ann said, the one was more cakey with frosting versus a brownie. And then we talked about when we're back there, we're cooking on the grill. Right. We're cooking on, so they weren't as high, they weren't as fluffy. Maybe even if you cook the same mix, same everything in an oven, it would have probably tasted a little bit different and maybe evened out some of the.
Right. Oh, I just think it gives you a different brownie on the grill, which I think it's a great spin on it. And I think you could do a lot with it. It would hold up to ice cream on top. Check out our website. In a few days, we'll have all the pictures up. We decorated something like you would in a restaurant on a plate, and you get a good look at them. And I think the brownie that we made would hold up to anything on it, where the store-bought one really wouldn't, in my opinion. It would fall apart.
Well, and I would say, bringing in the accounting of it, I would say you definitely did not have the loss, because there was a huge difference in cost. So Scott, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is definitely the furthest each other when it comes to cost. I mean, the ones that we made, all in, when you get a couple eggs in there and some oil, we're talking about 22 cents, give or take, for a brownie. I mean,
22 cents. Let's say that again. That's pretty good.
So when we talk about food costs and trying to add profitable food to your menu, you're not going to get much better than that.
Right.
Because even after you add in like sprinkles or chocolate syrup or whipped cream, I mean, we're talking pennies of those. A container of rainbow, sprinkles are $2. I mean, how long would that one last us?
Right.
Right.
It's gonna be around a while.
And even if you were to add ice cream, we came up with maybe it's $1, maybe, right? Depending on size, but even still, that's inexpensive.
So whether you're, adding a menu item that you're going to charge anywhere from $5 to $9 or $10, or adding it as a add-on to a kid's meal, either way, the price point you're good at. Because when we got into the brownie trays that were frozen to fresh, each of those brownies were almost $1.20 each. So you already jumped each on $1.20, and we're not even at the pre-packaged ones that I'm telling you, I bet a lot of operators are using, and they're about $3 each.
Yeah.
So I mean, exponentially jumping up on
The individually wrapped ones.
yes.
Yeah.
And again, I bet a lot of people listening will know what we're talking about because they're
Yeah.
pretty popular out there,
Oh, yeah.
especially in the fast casual world or the the quick casual, whatever you want to say. That's a lot of times what you're getting on a kid's meal, and that's you're don't think about you're only paying what $8 for a kid's meal, and they're giving you a $3 brownie before you even start with the food and drink.
Right.
It's crazy, right?
And that's where I think if you go back to your cost of goods is one number, which is true, but it's made up of so many different things. And I think so many times desserts, sort of like NA Bev, get overlooked as like, well, people aren't coming into my barbecue restaurant for my dessert. So it's, kind of an afterthought. But if you had an item that's 22 cents to make that you could serve, for $5, $6, or like you said, a promo where it's like, hey, free dessert Wednesday or whatever it is. I mean, all of a sudden you're really driving something that has a fantastic margin that people are really going to like.
Absolutely. It's something you put your spin on. This is the same as any other menu item. What is going on in your area? What are you known for? Work that into a brownie, and you'll definitely have customers that want to come just for that. And it's profitable. Most importantly, it's profitable and it's a good product.
Yeah. And what was interesting about the fact that the take that you took, which was making it on the grill, is the fact that this is something you could incorporate into a food truck, right? So now you've really taken the dessert needing an oven off the table, right? You've really created something that we could, with, a little paper cup, put a little brownie with a little scoop of ice cream, and all of a sudden you have something that someone's out at a festival, they're going to spend $5, $7 for. And again, it costs you $1, right? And you could make it in advance. It's quick to serve. I mean, there's so many pluses here that people are really going to walk around excited about your brownie.
I think just the fact that, letting them know that it's a grilled brownie, it's going to pique their interest for sure. Like, you grilled a brownie, how'd you grill a brownie? Right? You just got to think outside the box a little bit, not just with brownies, with everything. Right. So I definitely think if you have a food truck and you're at a festival and you advertise grilled brownies, people are going to ask you about them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they were good.
No, they're really good. I think that's what, even with the, losing the battle, they were a really good product. I mean, not one person didn't like it. That's
why I'm saying it's not a loss. I think it was like, a draw. Because they really did fight over what they wanted to pay.
Yes.
So I'm in my mind, it's a draw, but we'll go with that for now, and we'll see what happens.
Well, and the other thing is, like I said, going back to the people, because I think I hear a lot of, our clients who were talking about in the restaurant industry who kind of, they don't talk a lot about dessert, right? It's not really something that they're passionate for the way they are about the steak or the barbecue or, some of the other things on their menu. But think about, say, Scott's previous employee, right? The Cheesecake Factory. We can drive more sales than we think through dessert.
Yes.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and think about all the places that are kind of popping up along, whether it's the, the cookie places now or these fresh donut places.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of places that are solely entering in the dessert market. I mean, obviously they're just, the water ice places and the ice cream places, but there's a lot of other kind of fresh baked, little mini cake places that are jumping up on a corporate end, not just mom and pops anymore. So there's definitely a need for that segment. So, I mean, I think for a lot of our clients, if they're already at your restaurant, you don't want them to go somewhere else for dessert. You want to add something that's going to have their dessert there. When Chris talked about earlier with to-go being such a huge, increasing driver in sales right now, adding to-go items that work from a cost perspective on desserts. And that's where maybe an ice cream doesn't travel as well, but a brownie that we made today could travel, be perfect, get home, and still be a great product for later in the night or the next day. So I think kind of using all those ideas when you're trying to create those products.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of the big reasons why we even attempted this was because we see what our clients are paying for prepackaged items for dessert. They all want to carry them, and it is a need. People come to eat, they want to get dessert with it. Fast food or casual dining, fine dining. They want a dessert. And this was one way, we just want to try this out and see how it would go. And it seems like it went well.
Yeah. And I would say that definitely is, I think two things, like real takeaways that people could leave here with is one, kind of knowing your margin, because we've had a couple of clients where we've worked with and it's surprising. It's like a 70-80% food cost by the time they factor in, the prepackaged and shipping and whatever that was. And all of a sudden now you have something that's actually hurting your margin, even though you just added it as an afterthought. It's actually making your food cost worse, which is not something that we want to have. And the second thing, like Scott said, I think is bringing into the conversation, even if they taste the same, right? The fact that it was made fresh, like that smell, and that, customers can, smell it when they walk in the door. They can see that you're making it fresh. They know you made it fresh. I mean, I think a lot of the new change you talked about coming in, that's a lot of it, is that they're like making it right there. People can see that it's getting made. And there is, something appealing to that as a customer.
The customers or guests, they're smart. I mean, they know what they're looking for, and they can tell the difference. And I think, as people start getting away from more of that prepackaged stuff, they just feel, all right, your brownie's made this way. Oh, I trust what your food is made out of. I trust what else you're doing. Where if your brownie's coming in a pre-wrapped container, well, what's your mashed potatoes coming out of? What's your steak coming out of? And I think that's a fair question to ask. I mean, at least, I know, obviously we have a little more restaurant experience, but when we go out to eat, you're kind of thinking like, what did I just have? And
we look at that.
How was it made?
Yeah. We definitely look at that for sure.
And there's so many restaurants now that are doing much more on the scratch side of it. And I think that's what's going to separate a lot of restaurants from other restaurants, is just how they prepare their food and the freshness and the quality of it.
Right. Well, and I think what Ann said, the smell, that's going to get people wanting to buy more. Hey, we making brownies back there? I'll take a couple. I mean, absolutely. If I'm walking and I smell it, I'm definitely interested. But I think a big takeaway was, this whole exercise, can you cook a brownie on a flat top?
Yeah.
And you can. I mean, we didn't know how it would come. Like I said earlier, when we just started doing it, these all might become brownie crumbles.
Which we said would be a great addition to other desserts. So it wouldn't be the worst thing to have it on our ice cream sundae, some brownie crumbles. But yeah, we really didn't know when we were back there on that first flip. We really weren't sure what to expect from the crisp flip over there. We didn't know what was going to happen.
And we were pleasantly surprised it all held together. So yeah, but I think like Scott said, people just know that if you're making your brownies fresh, then you must be doing everything else right.
Well, I think this was a great exercise. I think, the challenge of the week is go look at your dessert menu, right? It doesn't have to stay the same. There's no reason you can't add items here and really make it something that's driving your profits and the energy of your menu.
Yeah, think outside the box. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Make it your own. Think of something only you're doing right now.
I totally agree with what you're saying. Nice, creative, fun desserts, but they also need to make sense on the profit side to your menu. And like Ann said earlier, if you're paying $3 and you're selling for $4.50, you're not really doing much to your bottom line. Desserts aren't something that we want to be a break-even number. That's not. We're looking at it as a nice add-on. It should help your overall food cost and
a lot of these places are fast food places. They're impulse items. You want to make money on.
Yeah.
It's not something like you say you want to make 50 cents on, right? You paid $4, but I'll make 50 cents. No, you want to be able to spend 22 cents and sell it for $5, sell it for $4. So I think that's an important thing to take away from it as well.
All right. Well, this was a great episode. Thank you.
This episode is sponsored by the Largo Group. All right, you're going to want to join us next week when we do the chicken salad challenge. We're going to put Chris's chicken salad recipe up against multiple competitors. It's going to be fun, and you're going to want to see how these results come out.
All right, we will see you soon on F Your Business Podcast.
This podcast is sponsored by the Largo Group. Thanks for joining us this week on F Your Business Podcast. Whether you're a restaurant owner, chef, brewery owner, or bartender, we believe everyone in the hospitality industry deserves access to the knowledge and tools they need to succeed. Be sure to visit our website, fyourbusinessmovement.com, to subscribe to the podcast and stay up to date on current offerings.